Well, we know that the music industry has survived its fair share of tech disruptions, but the latest flag being raised is AI.
Here to bring us up to speed on the issue in music is journalist and producer Emilie Hanskamp.
Because people have been using AI in the music industry for years. So why all of a sudden is it getting so much pushback?
You're right. I mean, I feel like with tech stories, it often feels like it only gets into the mainstream once the industry is hitting that panic mode. So it's like, are these developments happening overnight? But to your point, music in the AI in the music space has been evolving for decades. To give you an idea, the first AI-generated song was made in 1957. So we've been here for a while. What? But over these years, all the ingredients that go into AI, we're talking machine learning, lyric writing, melody generation, voice cloning, those have all become so sophisticated to get to a point today with an unprecedented level of threat and opportunity for both the people making the music and us who are listening to it.
Okay, so if I right now wanted to make a song with AI, like how easy or difficult is it right now?
It would be super easy, Mel. Anyone watching this show right now, you could just Google a music AI generator. There are several of them. It would ask you for a simple prompt. So something like, The Social wrapping up season 11, and I want it in the style of Kurt Cobain, 90s era's grunge music. Within 15 seconds, you could have a song delivered to you.
Wow.
It is. But I do want to say, while this speed is very impressive, anyone who's listened to AI music can attest to the fact that we're not talking about profound, generation-defining music just yet. So at this point in time, that 15 seconds is not generating the top 40 hits you hear right now.
Got it.
Okay, good to know. Okay, so not yet. How is the industry responding to this influx of music, AI in music right now? Like, is there a fight going on?
There's a fight going on. It's getting testy for sure. But I want to say that in past tech disruptors, the music industry, has really shunned it altogether. That's not happening with AI.
They learned their lesson.
They learned their lesson. They have to embrace it to a point. So we saw with Warner last year, they signed their first ever AI artist, Nunuri. Now, obviously, this was a gimmick, but it was also a signal to the rest, that's Nunuri. It was a signal to the industry to say, we are embracing AI to a point. On that note, YouTube is now in talks with major labels on how they can maybe license their music above board to actually train their AI tools. But then we go to the below board bad guys. The only way I can type in a prompt and get a song that sounds identical to Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas, is if I'm training that AI with that song without permission. And that is what is at the core of a major set of lawsuits right now between record labels and these AI companies. They're charging $150,000 US per thousands of tracks that they deem have been used without their permission.
Oh, wow.
So this case is going to be major for this conversation. It's going to determine when I train AI with old art to make new art, is that fair use or not?
All right, so how are the artists feeling about this? Because I'm not an artist, I only sing in the shower, but this is already making me uneasy for
Understandably, totally. There's a lot of pushback. In April, hundreds of artists, Billie Eilish, Stevie Wonder among them, signed this open letter directed at these AI developers with essentially like the 3 C's of concern. So 1 was consent. We never allowed you to use my music to train your AI. 2 is compensation. You're definitely not paying us for this. And 3 is competition, where it's like, how am I going to compete against this influx of AI-generated music? How is my job going to compete with AI generating these lyrics and these songs? So it's very much a cause for concern for artists.
Yeah, and especially as we said off the top, even something like voice cloning. So what is that, first of all? And then what exactly are these artists up against?
If you're chronically online like I am, you've definitely come across at least one song that is something like Frank Sinatra covering Nirvana or something like that. Now, this is a result of AI's ability to clone voices. I do think that those sort of funny kind of cover situations are going to get very old and boring very fast, but they do raise very interesting issues around voice ownership. We've talked about artists owning catalogs, but who owns their voice? Does Adele own it? Or does her record label own it? So who gets to decide on the replication of that voice? And who gets the profits of when that voice is used? So these are questions that legislation is trying to get ahead of, but is behind very much so right now.
Really, I can see the implications of how this could be crossover issues in the world of acting as well, and in movies.
Exactly.
That's right.
Big time.
So, but there are artists who are actually really leaning into this voice cloning. So tell us about that.
There are some artists like Grimes, Charlie XCX, they're actually licensing their voice over for AI in different ways. We've also seen AI being used to resurrect voices. So you might remember last year, the Beatles came out with a new song, Now and Then. That was the result of this old lo-fi John Lennon recording that was unusable, but AI was able to isolate it and make this new song for us.
Oh, wow.
But unfortunately, we cannot have nice things, and if it gets in the wrong hands, someone like Drake will use Tupac's voice without the estate's permission, and then get a cease and desist letter, and here we are with consent issues. But my very favorite way that artists are using this voice cloning technology is to resurrect their own voice. So you can take a country star like Randy Travis, for example. He had a stroke about a decade ago, lost his ability to sing. With AI, he was able to map his voice onto a session singer's voice and release new music for his fans. He's even going to be going on tour. So whether you find that creepy or beautiful, I think it's beautiful.
People loved it.
Wow.
I know, we went from hating it to loving it. Okay, let's continue to stay positive about AI. Could AI actually help artists in the creative process?
If it's regulated properly, now as we've talked about today, huge if, it could just be another tool in the creative toolkit. So it's not gonna be me sitting down as an artist saying, make this entire song for me. It might be, I'm really stuck at this blank page, let's play around with rhyming schemes, let's rejig the words in the sentence, let's just give me a little bit of a creative kick in the butt, if you will. And I'll say that artists are already using it in this way. They might not be saying that, but they are.
Okay, what does this all mean for us as the consumers, though?
It depends if you're dystopian, optimistic, or pessimistic. You could say this is an incredible, democratizer of creativity. So all the cost barriers to making music, those can be done away with because AI can kind of help speed up that process. But if we want to be dystopian for a second, if we get to a point where licensing is normalized, and I'm a Beyonce fan, and I can Google or make a song that is Beyonce singing about my relationship, my home, my dog, my life, whatever, are people going to start preferring that over the generic music? It's a question of how we will grow to value art and how it's made. I personally don't think there's any trade for the soul and human experience that goes into making music. Machines, at least not yet, they cannot do that. So I'm staying optimistic.
Okay, with about like 30 seconds left, so we want you to, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but what's your best guess as to where we're heading?
My best guess, well, what we know for certain is AI is not going anywhere. It's going to get better and smarter. If you look back a few years, the staggering difference, we cannot even project or imagine what it might be. So we have to be more literate with how we listen to music, like we are with news. So some people have suggested maybe adding an AI-free stamp on music, sort of like an organic of music. But in the meantime, artists' livelihoods, their jobs, their work, their voices are being threatened. We're seeing that already. So the best thing you can do is go out there, support your local human artists as much as you can. They really need it. They always deserve it, but now more than ever.
That's great.
That's fantastic. Wasn't this such an enlightening conversation, so informative about AI? Emilie, thank you so much for this wonderful conversation. So good. Thank you so much.
Hey there, what did you think? Drop your comments below and join the conversation. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you can find more on everything from food and fashion to pop culture and current events. See you soon.